So by now you're probably seeing in an article floating around, originally by Bloomberg I think, where Microsoft met with Nintendo to try and acquire them, to try and be able to buy Nintendo. And apparently they got laughed out of the boardroom, in kind of the same way as Blockbuster laughed at Reed Hastings when he went to go pitch Netflix to Blockbuster. And we all know how that turned out. Anyways, I'm going to read part of the article for you right here. Steve made us go meet with Nintendo to see if they would consider being acquired. We all know how Steve could be. They just laughed their asses off. Like, imagine an hour of somebody just laughing at you. That was kind of how that meeting went. We actually had Nintendo in our building January of 2000 to work out a joint venture where we gave them all the technical specs of the Xbox. The pitch was that their hardware stunk, I guess referring to the GameCube, and compared to Sony, it did. And somebody said, listen, you're much better at the games portion with Mario and all that stuff. Why don't you let us take care of the hardware? But apparently that didn't work out. But can you imagine how different the gaming landscape would be if Nintendo and Microsoft joined forces? But we all know that the GameCube came in last place in that generation. Apparently the tier is supposedly PlayStation, Xbox, and GameCube. But the GameCube still has a very dedicated fan base. There's mods being released for it still, like the GC loader, an adapter to replace the disk drive with a SD card slot. I have an original Xbox. They say it's one of the best modded systems that they have. It could play from a whole different bunch of games, and that's something I think worth checking out as well. But can you imagine Sony and Nintendo were gonna work together? Sony and Nintendo were gonna work together. Obviously we know what Nintendo did to Sony, but for those of you who don't know, the TLDR version of the story is that basically Nintendo and Sony were working together on a disc-based add-on for the Super Nintendo, and then the night before they were both supposed to unveil their creation to the public, Nintendo went behind Sony's back and partnered with Philips the night before at this place, and Philips had their conference first before anyone else. So when Philips came up, they unveiled their partnership with Nintendo, and that's how really Sony found out that Nintendo went behind their back. And you can imagine that all hell broke loose. And thus that's how they say the original PlayStation was created. About a decade later, Nintendo is going to partner with Microsoft, Sony's biggest rival. It's like going from one ship to the other. Wonder if Microsoft ever thought that Nintendo would do anything that they did to Sony. But in all, folks, that's all for this quick video. Thanks for joining in. Feel free to sub. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.